Only a couple of years ago, Wolves were considered to be one of the best sides outside of the top six in the Premier League, if not the best side outside of the top six, but currently they find themselves on the bottom of the table in danger of potential relegation. I've tried to take it upon myself to take Wolves back to glory and rebuild them within FM23. In this video, we'll be covering 5 seasons as Wolves manager, focusing in on the transfers and developing the club to see just how far we can take them and if we can get them into European football. Hi everyone, Jake here. Welcome back to the first one-off rebuild on the channel for FM23. Don't worry, the Leicester series will be back soon, but for our first one-off rebuild, we are going to try and fix the club bottom of the Premier League, Wolverhampton Wanderers. As I mentioned, we're going to have 5 seasons here at the club, focusing in on transfers, then holidaying to see how the club gets on, and each time trying to rebuild the players to the quality that Wolves showed loads of signs of having in the past. A lot of people thought they would be a Champions League team at some point, and it was clearly their aim for a couple of seasons to break in to that top 6, but currently it's not going so well. Before we get into the rebuild though, if you guys could show your support and hit that like button, it really would mean a lot and will help the video get in front of as many people as possible. If you do enjoy the content, subscribe for more because there'll be more rebuilds coming soon. And with that said, let me know in the comments who you'd like to see in our next one-off FM23 rebuild. So we've got 5 seasons to cover today. We're going to have to try and move through things as quick as possible, but let's take a look at the state Wolves are in at the start of our save. Facilities wise, it's okay. Junior coaching and youth recruitment leave a little bit to be desired, but training facilities and youth facilities are of a decent enough level that we can get by. We're predicted to finish 15th in the Premier League with the squad that we've got, which shows just how far Wolves have fallen in terms of where we expect them to be. We have a 30,000 capacity stadium. Finances are secure with £8 million in the bank balance, and most of our transfer budget already spent this season with only 3.9 million left. We start off with around £300,000 worth of debt. In terms of young talent coming through, there isn't too much of note that have a chance of breaking in to the first team. And in terms of what the board want from us, they want us to sign high reputation players, and to sign Portuguese players is preferred. We're required to work within the wage budget, and they want us to be competitive in the cups and finish mid-table in the Premier League. And in 5 years' time, they want us to be the best of the rest in the Premier League, which will do our best to do, but our squad isn't at the highest level right now. Let's take a look at the coaches' reports and look at our highest ability players. We have Guardes, who has came in recently from, where was it? Was it Valencia? It was, for £28 million, and a lot will be expected of him. He's the highest rated player at the club, but Mateus Nunes is also a new signing that looks very promising. We've got Traore, Johnny, Neves, Semedo as the other good players in the squad. A few others here and there. It's a nicely balanced team, but with no particular stars just yet. And in terms of potential, the 2 best are Fabio Silva, who obviously had that massive transfer fee. He's out on loan this year at Anderlecht in Belgium. And then we also have, where is he? There we go, Ryan Ait-Nouri, a left back who's been a wonder kid in FM for years and will hopefully go on to be our starting left back. And it looks like he probably will be. So now that we know where the squad is, before we simulate the first season, I'm going to think of a tactic, buy some players to bring in for that tactic, and show you where we take this squad before we simulate the 2022-2023 season. And hopefully, even with the limited budget, we can do something to turn around this team's fortunes. Okay, so we've made some transfers. It's the 30th of July, and the media are still predicting us to finish 15th, but I have done a little bit of business to change the side around, so I'll quickly show you that. In terms of incomings, I felt our centre-back department was a little weak. Nathan Collins and Max Kilman are pretty good players, but are they centre-backs that are going to carry us into the top 6 eventually? I'm not too sure. However, this man I have a lot more confidence in. It's Goncalo Ignacio, a centre-back who's 20 years of age and Portuguese, which is great, obviously, for meeting those Portuguese requirements. And by the way, we will be trying to stick to that as much as possible. I will try and sign as many Portuguese players as we can for the team. He's a 3-star current ability player with a 5-star potential, joining from Sporting for £23 million. I think that is a very good deal and someone that's hopefully going to grow with us as the club develops. We actually made 3 outgoings, 2 of which are kind of needless players that I think you'd expect to go. The first one being a guy called Totti, who leaves for about £1 million to Estoril Praia. Leo Bonatini also leaves the club for £1 million to join Botafogo, just trying to get players off of the wage bill. And then the guy that I decided to cash in on, some people might disagree with this, some people might agree, depends what side of the fence you're on, but I decided to let Adama Traore Traoré leave the club for £15 million to join RB Leipzig. Yes, he's quick, yes, he's very strong, but outside of that, he's not very good technically, doesn't have much end product, and in the system that we're trying to play, I don't think he's a player for us. He also lacks a lot of consistency, has poor decision making, and for me, I just didn't fancy him as a player to lead our club forward, and whilst we could cash in on him, I decided to do exactly that. When we joined the club, a lot of the staff were missing. I assume they left with the former manager, so we are trying to sort out the staff situation currently, but we've hired in a director of football to try and help us out amongst a few other staff members, so hopefully we can get that fixed. But tactically, we're going to be running with this, and I've put the best 11 in that we have currently, just so you can see, but it is a 4-2-3-1 gegenpress preset that the game suggested to us as the go-to tactic for this side, and I've just adjusted a few of the roles. We've got one central defender and one ball-playing defender. The right back is going to be the attacking wing back, and the left back is going to look to just support as often as possible. We've got a deep line playmaker and a central midfielder on the attack duty, an inverted winger, an inside forward, and then a shadow striker, which I'm hoping will help the club a lot with a pressing forward at the top. I always like having a shadow striker, never really works out, but I think Guardez could be the perfect player for it, behind the striker in that number 10 role, supporting Raul Jimenez. In terms of a first 11 though, I think this is pretty strong. Goalkeeper is good, full-backs are okay, centre-backs might need some work, but they're okay and fairly young. Midfield is very strong in my eyes. Podence maybe the only weak point, but for me, I think he'd probably come out for maybe Hwang-Wee Chan or someone else depending on the match. And overall, I think this squad is in a decent place to hopefully have a good first season. As long as we don't get relegated, it's something to build up from. So let's simulate this first season and see how we get on. And it's been a phenomenal year for our Wolves side. I say phenomenal, this is about where they were a few years ago, but we have made it into a European spot, finishing in that top 6. Tottenham didn't get the top 6 spot, they're in 7th, and we have stole that 6th place from them. We have qualified for the Europa League and have a pretty decent points total of 64, which is still way off the league leaders, but it's quite a difference away from being relegated. We were knocked out in the Carabao Cup semi-final by Liverpool, FA Cup by Manchester United, so overall the cup competitions went the way you'd expect, and we got knocked out by teams who should be knocking us out. Obviously, the real part of the rebuild will kick in Season 2, where we're able to make more transfers with a £60 million budget, but our team this season has done really well and given us a great little launching pad to boost up from. The real highlight of this year though was Guardez getting 19 goals from shadow striker and 37 goals from Raul Jimenez up top. He might be old, he might have taken that head injury, but he has scored pretty much a goal a game in the Prem this year and was phenomenal in that pressing forward role. No individual instructions either, he just keeps bagging for us. The one big surprise though, loads of players playing well, and Alex Fabio Silva doing well on loan too, but Conor Ronan, a guy who, to be honest, I don't watch Wolves closely every single week, but I've never heard of this guy. He's a 25-year-old Irishman who looks like he's never really had many first-team appearances for Wolves, somehow played 33 games, starting quite a lot of them, scored 13, assisted 8 and got a 7.31 average match rating. I do not know where it's came from. I don't even know why he was starting, because we've got so many players better than him, but either way, he's done the job for us, got us loads of goals, and is someone that maybe we can keep around the side as a nice little homegrown player as we go forward. But there you go, that's Season 1 done, and now it's time to get into the proper rebuild part of the video, where we have £60 million, plenty of players to sell, plenty of players to bring in, so let's get in to the Season 2 transfers. And here we go, this season our media prediction is 8th place, so clearly we're in a much better place than before, and in terms of the transfers, we had a £60 million budget, that is now all gone, and we bought in plenty of players. Before we look at who we bought in though, let's look at some players that we've got off the wage bill. I'll quickly run through them, but Leonardo Campana has left the club to join Inter Miami for 1.3 million. Ryan Giles, who is an academy product, has left to join Brentford for 7 million. And we sell a Portuguese player, the board might not be happy, but Chiquinho, a 23-year-old winger, has left the club to join Nantes in Ligue 1 for about £9 million. I think that's a good deal. I don't think he was good enough to play a regular part in our team. Diego Costa played 17 times last season, scored 2, and now leaves on a free transfer to join Betis. Daniel Podence has gone to join Hoffenheim for 6.25 million. He was okay for us last year, not great, and for me was someone that we could move on for some cash. It's a similar situation for Sasa Kaladzic, an Austrian striker who we have sold to Lazio for pretty much what the club bought him for. Played a few times last season, scored a few goals, but with Jimenez staying on and us wanting to give some more game time to Fabio Silva, I thought let's sell him and give Fabio Silva that chance. And the final player to leave was Hwang Wei-chan, the left-sided winger, 27 years of age, goes to join Udinese in Serie A. Around £10 million for him. He had a good season last year, but again wasn't someone that I'm looking to build around long term. Now with that, we'd raised a lot of funds and Brighton happened to get relegated, so we activated the release clause of 21-year-old Ecuadorian midfielder / defensive midfielder Moises Caicedo, who had a decent year for Brighton last year, but has got loads of room to get better. Great physical attributes, very good technically as well, and great mentally. He's going to be someone that really benefits that midfield depth, and much like Ignacio, who we bought in the first season, he's someone that I'm hoping will grow as the club grows. I felt right back was an area we could use some improvement on to help back up Nelson Semedo, and we've decided to go for Vanderson, a right back from Monaco, 22-year-old Brazilian, who we pick up for £28 million after a great year last time out in the French division. Very good all around, particularly good in the attacking side of the game. I'm hoping he can be that mainstay right back for the course of this rebuild, no matter how far we go. And the final player was another one to hopefully add some depth and also some quality. We have signed Alex McAllister, the Argentinian 24-year-old from Brighton, for £35 million. They got relegated. We sent them a fair bit of money for Caicedo and also a fair chunk of money for Alex McAllister, but I think it's a good deal. Again, someone who's still got some room to get better, can hopefully be a big part of our side both as a starter and as a squad depth option. Very good technically, can play a variety of roles, and someone that's going to help us a hell of a lot in our goals, but that is all we've done transfer wise. So we have spent a fair chunk of money, but what I'm particularly happy about is the fact that we've managed to move a lot of the deadwood on. Now our squad actually fits on one screen, and for me there's a better range of player in here now, some younger heads too who can get a lot better. I think our squad is in a better position, but let's take a look at the squad planner to see how we're lining up. So Jose Sarr is our best goalkeeper by far, and we have 2 capable backups. Right back we've got Vanderson and also Johnny and Semedo, but for me Johnny's going to be a left back option to back up Ryan Aït-Nouri because he doesn't have too much backup. Centre backs, we've got Collins, Kilman, Ignacio and Mosquera. I'm trying to get rid of Connor Cody, but he's refusing to go, but hopefully I can move him on sometime soon. I haven't sorted the order of all these players out yet, by the way, but we've clearly got some talent now. Ruben Neves, Nunes, Caicedo and McAllister. In the midfield spots, we've got Guardes who can play further forward, Pedro Neto, McAllister if needed. We've also got options such as Connor Ronan out there, Raul Jimenez, Fabio Silva. We've got much better players here now, and whilst our attack might be lacking a player or two, we can get there as time goes on, but I'm hoping this squad will do a lot better, and the game seems to think they will with that 8th place media prediction. But can we live up to it? Can we go far in the Europa League? Let's see how we get on in Season 2. And it's not terrible, it's not great, but it's also not awful. I don't really know where I feel about this, because less points than last year, but less losses as well, more draws, and we finish in 7th place with 60 points, which wouldn't be too bad, but it's when you see that Aston Villa and Leeds have managed to take up a top 6 spot that I wish we could have got there. But 60 points isn't terrible, it's just the fact that we haven't qualified for any kind of European competition. Europa League, we got all the way to the semi-finals before being knocked out by Lazio. FA Cup was a 5th round exit, and Carabao Cup was in the quarter-final, but I feel like it's not a terrible season. I just would have liked to have that European competition to play in, even if it was just the Conference League, but it seems it wasn't to be. We're still finishing higher than the media prediction, which is good of course, but in terms of who's performed well this year, it's kind of a similar story to what we had a look at before, because once again, it is our man Raul Jimenez near enough at the top with 42 goals in all competitions. Alex McAllister also really showing up in his first season at the club with 20 goals in all comps. Caicedo has also been great when he's played. Fabio Silva has played here and there for us and managed to score plenty of goals, which is great because now with Jimenez getting older, we can hopefully filter in Fabio Silva into the squad. We've got Guardez picking up loads of goals, Núñez also playing well, and overall, the whole squad is on fire. Everyone's contributing, everyone's playing pretty well. We just need to step it up that extra level to become a Champions League side, hopefully, or even just a Conference League, Europa League side in these early stages of the rebuild. But as far as 2 seasons go, considering this team is in relegation zone in real life, I think we've done a great job, and the media prediction going up so much shows the work that we've done with this squad to make it loads better, and hopefully we can keep it up in Season 3. Okay, so we've got a few updates for you before we kick off for Season 3 transfers. We actually did qualify for European competition. We got a Conference League spot, which was strange because our season was over. I'm going to assume something happened in the Europa League final or the Conference League final that means we have now taken that spot, but I'm very happy for it. We do have European competition, but we still need to actually qualify in the Conference League to actually get into any kind of group stage. But you can see the club's facilities are improving a lot. The junior coaching and youth recruitment is much improved, and whilst our finances are a bit in the mud, we're still predicted that 8th place media prediction, and we've managed to, I think, invest pretty well into this squad now. We only really had 2 major sales this year. The first one was Johnny, the 30-year-old fullback, has left to join West Ham for about 15 million. He was okay for us as a depth option, but I don't think we need him going forward, and we've decided to let him go and replace him with a cheaper player to be our backup left back because Johnny was on high wages, worth a fair bit and fairly old, so we've decided to move him on and reinvest it. The only other notable departure was Connor Cody, the 31-year-old, has joined now Premier League side QPR for £150,000. He was on loan last year with Blackburn, who did get relegated, but he's managed to get picked up by a Premier League side, so good luck to him. We've managed to get those wages off of a bill. Now, I'm very happy with the incomings we've made this year. I think in general, our squad has had so much quality added to it. The first player we bought in was Johnny's replacement at backup left back, Brandon Williams, on a free transfer from Manchester United. For a free deal, considering we got 15 million for Johnny, I'll take it, and it meant that we could invest elsewhere in the squad, and at 23, England international, all of these things are going to help us in terms of registration rules, so I'm happy to bring him in. Another free signing that I thought was an exceptional one was Ismaili Sarr, formerly of Watford, who were in the Championship, where he's been on fire as one of the best players in the 2nd Division of England. Look at those average match ratings, look at the goals, look at the assists, and look at those Player of the Match awards. His contract was up at Watford, he wasn't willing to sign, and he was available as a free agent. There was loads of clubs in for him, but he's decided to make his way over to join us here at Wolves, and I'm hoping he will be a great player for us. Still loads of years left in him, into his prime years as well now. Ismaili Sarr, I'm hoping, will be a top draw signing. If you were worried about how little Portuguese players we were signing so far, worry no more, because our final 3 transfers of this window were young Portuguese players with plenty of talent. The first one is Henrique Araujo, a Portuguese striker who's extremely consistent at the age of 22, nicely well-rounded, a good backup option for only £6.5 million. For me, it'll be him and Fabio Silva competing for that striker spot as the years go by. Formerly a Wolves player, of course, we have signed Francisco Trincao, who came on loan for a season to Wolves, wasn't signed directly, was then loaned out to Sporting, where he did well, was signed by Sporting for 6 million, and then a season later, we've paid 22 mil for him, which I think is a great deal for a player that's going to add a lot of quality to our attack. He's good in Football Manager too, and these attributes are insane, particularly that passing technique and vision. He will be a perfect inverted winger on that right-hand side, but we did not stop there with the Portuguese players. We decided to go back to Benfica to sign another player, a 20-year-old centre-back by the name of Antonio Silva, who we do have in our Leicester save, which if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you do so, because I do think you'd enjoy it if you're already enjoying this kind of content. But Antonio Silva has a hell of a lot of potential, capped for the under-21 Portuguese team loads of times, and if we can make him and Goncalo Ignacio our centre-back pairing, that's going to be Portugal's backline for a few years as well, so I think that's a great way to build, and our main core of our squad is now Portuguese, and to get him for so cheap as well was a great bit of business on our end. Even though only 2 of our new signings actually make it into this best 11, for me, Antonio Silva would be in ahead of Max Kilman, which makes it a good young back line that we have there. Semedo can drop out for Vanderson at any point, and there's still a lot of quality to be had. Aït-Nouri's developing quite well in that left back spot, and overall there's just so much depth to call upon because that bench is stacked with talent, and I really do think we've taken this side to another level, and hopefully they can prove that to me in season 3. We're only going for 5 seasons in this video, and hopefully we can bring some kind of silverware to the club, because in their past Wolves have been a club that have managed to win a lot of trophies: 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, Europa League runners-up on one occasion, 2 Carabao Cups as well. They are used to winning trophies. It's just been a long while since they've won anything of real high note like the Carabao, like the FA Cup, or like the Premier League. So hopefully we can add something like that to the trophy cabinet, but we'll only find out when we simulate season 3 to see how we're getting on. And season 3 I think has gone pretty well. I mean, we've actually won a trophy, which is phenomenal. We did win the Carabao Cup. I don't know who against yet. We'll find out in a second. 5th round FA Cup exit to Everton, and then knocked out in the semis of the Conference League by Feyenoord. Again, we finished 7th in the league with 65 points, and this may be the only time I've ever seen Tottenham win a Premier League trophy, so fair play to them. I usually diss them in every single rebuild, but here they are, under Brendan Rodgers of all people, winning the Premier League. And it was a huge win for us in the Carabao Cup, beating Leeds 4-1 with Guardez getting 1, Jimenez getting 2, and Pedro Neto scoring the other. But it's a sad day for Raul Jimenez because his contract will be expiring at the end of this month, and I don't plan on extending it. Despite the fact that he keeps scoring, he's now 34, and I think it's time for the club to move on from him, from the amazing Mexican striker. But yeah, that's just a side note. Jimenez is likely going to be leaving, but we've done very well this year. I just really hope we can start to push on in terms of a league position, because really we're not going anywhere right now. We're sitting around the same place where Wolves were predicted to be a couple of years ago without actually making the effort to get into those Champions League spots. So we're going to try and do our best to do so with some transfers in season 4 to see if we can make the difference. But so far, I'll say so good, but I would like to see more from us. I didn't think our squad needed a massive improvement. It's just players here and there that I think the squad would benefit from. And Max Kilman playing so many games over the last couple of years, it goes to show he is a good player and someone of pretty high quality. But for me, he's not the long-term option. He wanted to leave the club, so we let him go to try a new adventure, as he put it, and he's gone to Ajax for about 7 mil, a guy who's been a great servant for us but now moves on, and he was the only major sale this summer other than Jimenez's contract expiring. We decided to sign Tino Livramento from relegated side Southampton, who after a good season in the Championship was available for £23 million, which is way cheaper than you'd get him normally. Now, despite some poor performances in the Premier League, he's still only 22, with a lot of room to get better. An England youth product as well, meaning he'll help with registration rules and likely have a high value one day if we sell him on. I think he's a good player and someone that can really compete with Vanderson for that right back spot. We've also managed to sign Maximilian Wober of RB Salzburg, a centre-back / left-back who can cover both roles, not amazingly, but at a decent level, and kind of comes in as the Kilman replacement for completely free. And that was the reason that I went for him, to get him on such a bargain deal. A player that's been very good for a few years for Salzburg, I think is a good idea, and he can cover both roles when needed and just adds to that extra depth that we need when we're playing European competition. And with some budget left over, we decided to try and sign some of the best young Portuguese products that we're developing within this save, and the first one was 20-year-old Portuguese midfielder / attacking midfielder João Neves, who joins from Benfica for £8.25 million, where he has broken into their first team after some great performances for Benfica B. I think he's going to be a good player long term, not someone that will help us too much now, but you can already see his value has gone through the roof, and it's always good to have some good young Portuguese talent in the Wolves lineup. We've made another signing from Sporting CP in Portugal. It's Dario Esujo, a 20-year-old defensive midfielder for a pretty small price actually of 16 million. Very good physically, good mentally, and decent technicals as well. As the years go by, I'm sure he will make himself a pretty big name in this squad, and I think we're in a great position now. Again, still only predicted 8th, which seems to be the way that Wolves are going to go in this simulation, but we have built a very nice squad, particularly when you look at our Portuguese contingent that we have. Dario Esujo, Neves, Silva, Arujo, another Silva, Ignacio, Nunes, Trincao, Neves again, Semedo, Guardez, Sarr, and Pedro Neto. What a lineup of Portuguese players. We've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We could run with a full team of Portuguese players here, and a lot of them are still young players as well, which is great. And if we look at potential, we've got a lot of people who can be 4 stars or higher, which is awesome. And in terms of current ability, we still don't have that 1-star man, but we've got a lot of talent spread throughout the squad, and a lot of them are our young players too, which is great to see. We've only got this season and next season to go. I'm really hoping we can add a big trophy to the cabinet, or maybe even a Champions League run. If we get a Champions League win, that'd be phenomenal, but I'm not expecting that. I just want to see how far we can go with this team, but we really do need to get that UCL spot in Season 4. And we do manage to do so, as well as winning the Conference League, which is a great way to end Season 4 and gives us a nice position to build up from in Season 5 as we have our first season in the UCL. I don't know the exact reasons as to why we've qualified for it, but we have finished in 5th place and we do get a Champions League spot with 70 points this year, which is way more than we've had before, only 10 losses, and we're getting way better as a team now. 5th place ahead of Man City, which is very impressive, 21 wins and 10 losses. Add on to that 2 fairly decent cup runs. I'd like to go further in them at some point, and a Conference League win. I'm very chuffed with Season 4, and hopefully Season 5 can be even more of a success. But the Conference League final was a win against Lazio, a 3-1 win in extra time with Guardes getting 2, and the man who keeps cropping up, I don't know how, but Connor Ronan, a 2-star player who is clearly not good enough for our team, comes on in extra time and secures the win for us. He only played 2 times all season in the Prem, didn't score 1, but this guy keeps popping up in big moments for this Wolves side, and considering he's been there since 2014, that'll be a great little moment for the Irishman. Just to kind of see where we are in the save, our lineup for that match was Jose Sarr, Semedo Ignacio, Nathan Collins still, Tino Livramento, João Neves and Ruben Neves as a 2 Neves midfield, Ismaili Sarr, McAllister, Trincao and Guardes as the striker, who I have checked and I think he is playing as a striker this year. I think the game is kind of throwing Fabio Silva away a little bit. He's playing here and there, but considering Raul Jimenez is now gone and Araujo isn't a world-class striker, you'd think Silva would be picking up those minutes, but instead it seems to be Guardes who gets a chance, but he is scoring, so I've got no complaints about that. And now our team is ready for Season 5. Hopefully in this final season we can do something big, but a Carabao Cup, a Conference League and now a Champions League spot within 4 seasons, that'll be considered a fantastic 4 years for Wolves. Add in facility improvements and a capacity upgrade coming to the stadium, and I think the club is on the right track. Finances also looking pretty nice, and in terms of the debts, that's starting to wipe away a little bit with about 100,000 gone. I think we're definitely doing well here. We've got a few issues in Season 5 though. Jose Sarr decided it was time for something new and he's headed to Monaco on a free, and Nelson Semedo also didn't get his contract renewed. That one was on purpose and he's gone to Villarreal, where he's going to play out his career there by the looks of it. We did however have a spanner thrown in the works because Caicedo has signed for Arsenal. They hit his release clause of just over 60 million and he's grown into a great player for us, but it is a huge profit on what we paid for him initially, and I'm sure he'll be great for Arsenal down the line. But it was a big shame that we lost him because that was not part of our plans. Don't worry though, I think we did a great job replacing all of these players, because once again we head to Brighton, this time for a goalkeeper called Robert Sanchez, who I'm sure you all know. We managed to pick him up for £15 million. Brighton were back in the Premier League but went back down again. According to our scouts, he was the best rated player we could find in the goalkeeping position, and I think he's a great signing to have and will hopefully lead us to some success in the net, and has a few more years left on him than of course Jose Sarr did. He's heading into his prime years, 4 appearances for Spain, and hopefully he'll get more while playing for us. We fill a gap at centre back by signing 23-year-old Portuguese player Andre Amaro, who's been playing for Vitória de Guimarães out in the Portuguese First Division, where he's done pretty well. 6'1", nicely rounded centre back who's just going to act as a depth option and not too much more than that. But our big star signing this year, the one that I'm hoping will take us as high as possible in the Premier League and hopefully keep us in that Champions League run-in as well, is Christopher Nkunku. How much did we pay for this amazing 34 appearance French player? Well, absolutely nothing. He was leaving RB Leipzig on a free. Loads of people offered him a deal. We offered him a bit more than everyone else, but I still didn't think he'd join us, but he decided it was the place to be. He has came to Wolves. I think he's probably the best player that we've bought in so far in terms of current ability, and I really do think he's going to revolutionise our attack, and our team now looks very good when you pick our best 11. Let me do it for you. I think this is already it. It's not. There you go. This is our best 11. It's Sanchez, Vonderson, Ignacio and Silva, who have become a great centre-back pairing as the years have gone by. Silva picking up 12 caps for Portugal, Ignacio with 10. They are now the centre-back pairing for the national side. Ryan Aït-Nouri continues to get better and better. At the age of 25, he looks phenomenal and is one of the best fullbacks in world football. Vonderson is okay on the right, but he'll compete with Livramento, I would have thought. Neves and Nunes with Trincao, Neto, Guedes and McAllister. And of course, as we all know, when needed, we have big man Christopher Nkunku, who can play pretty much anywhere and still be considered our best player pretty much. A real Portuguese core to this squad as well, which I'm sure the board are happy with, but it's time now for our final season. I'll reveal the results at the same time as you guys. I'll holiday to a certain date and we'll leave it there and we'll find out together what's happened. So let's get right into it and see what happens in season 5. Okay, I haven't looked at anything else at the start of this 5th season, but look at that. On the left-hand side, the league table is here. We've won the league, I'm going to assume. I mean, we're top of the league with 38 games played. All looks good. I think we've won the league by 2 goals with the same amount of points as Liverpool. 2 goal difference higher. I mean, 36 goal difference is nothing for winning the league. So I'm really interested to see how we've got on this year. I think somehow we've won the Premier League with Wolves, which is phenomenal, adds another title to their cabinet, but knowing FM, there'll be something that somehow says Champions Liverpool instead. So let's just find out together. It should be okay, and it is. We've got 80 points on the board and won the Premier League with that, which is a very low total, but look how close it was between Arsenal and Liverpool. We lost 10 games this year, Liverpool only lost 4, but we still managed to win the league by the fact that they drew 11 of their matches. I mean, we weren't phenomenal by any stretch, but we've managed to convert a lot of those draws into wins, which is great. I mean, a 3-1 win against Man City. Lots of losses here, though. I mean, we've lost 4-0 to Man U, 3-0 to Tottenham, 4-0 to Man U again. We've been battered a few times this year, but we still managed to come out with a Premier League win, which is an awesome result. Semi-finals of the FA Cup, we never did manage to win that. We still got our Carabao Cup won, but again, we lost to Man U, meaning we lost 3 times to them this year. And we got all the way to the round of 16 of the Champions League, where we lost to AC Milan. I was never expecting to win the Champions League, so the fact that we can add a Conference League and an actual Champions League knockout appearance for Wolves within 5 years, I think is a pretty big deal. But I can't believe our squad's actually gone on to win the Premier League with such a low points total as well. I feel like we could have done that 10 times over and never actually got the league title, so I think we're very lucky there, but we'll certainly take it. We beat Barcelona 4-3 at the Molineux, which would have been a fantastic day, with Guedes getting 3. That man is on fire at the age of 30. He is banging them in for our side. It wasn't an easy game on the last day of the season either. We had to beat Manchester City, of course, and try and keep that goal difference, but we managed to get over the line that day. Let's have a look at the squad that we lined up with in the most important match of the season. It was Robert Sanchez in goal, Vonderson and Livramento at the back with Ignacio and Silva, Nunes and Neves in the midfield with Trincao, Guedes, McAllister and Neto making up that forward line. Guedes with a man of the match performance, and the team overall doing very well against a Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne, Yeremy Pino Manchester City team with Tammy Abraham on the bench too. Pretty stacked there for Manchester City, but not good enough to get past our Wolves boys. We've done so well in 5 years there to win a Premier League. We're even still considered to finish 8th by the media. The facilities are in a much better place. Our academy is also so much better. Capacity is currently down because we are expanding the stadium a little bit. Finances as well are still doing okay. Debts and loans, we've managed to clear a little bit of it. The staff situation is in a great place, and maybe that's the reason that we were doing so well. Big credit to our director of football. Still only a 4-star reputation club. I think we've done so well here to win a Premier League, get European competitions under our belt. We have managed to bring trophies back to Wolves, and hopefully this team will go on to do even more, because there's lots of young players in this squad that can get better and grow as we go on. But there you go. That is our Wolves rebuild. Let me know what you thought. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed. Let me know who you'd like to see next in the comments down below. Subscribe for more, but most of all, have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.